Mic check. Mic check. Can you guys hear me? Let me get rid of this timer. Countdown. Actually, I can hide that. There we go. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if the mic's working. I always want to check that before I get going. Charts. Cool. Hey, Outback. Alright, so let me clean up the charts. Sorry, I had the video going. Right. This is... yeah, there it is. So, hope you guys are doing well. Lazy Saturday here. Sorry I've been out a bit. Wife got seriously hurt at a water park, of all things, chasing my kiddo around, who didn't want to get splashed on the bucket, and she ended up falling down some stairs and managed to sprain both of her ankles and feet at the same time. So she's basically wheelchair bound right now. So it's been a fun week, and if you guys have any suggestions for appropriate music to wheel her around with, that'd be great. So far, Sammy Hagar, I Can't Drive 55, and the Top Gun theme music seems to be the top choices with that. But let me know in the comments. So, backing up, we did go to the hospital yesterday and had her x-rays reviewed, so she's good to go as far as like nothing being broken, but she's got a long way to go because frankly, her ankles are bigger than mine right now, which is just crazy to see. But good to see you guys. Got Alpac, AOG, Hawudu, Cryptojack, Dave, EG, Fizz, Ice, Shutters, Jackface, Shorten, Supo, Wowie. Hope you guys are doing well. Market sucks right now, but it is what it is. And this is part of like the wave 2 of accumulation, unfortunately. If it is accumulation, we don't know yet. Markets are absolute trash. So, anyhow, let's get into it. I guess I should start actually with S&P this time. I usually start with Bitcoin, but I wanted to show this one. So this is kind of the two channels we've been watching on like the S&P 500, and we've been talking about this one, and I've been tweeting about it a bunch. The inflation report dropped on a Friday, and surprise, surprise, it was 8.6%. Expected was 8.3, and the market completely tanked, which I think is completely ridiculous because it's based on calculations over the past 12 months. So they rerun the calculations every single 12 months, and like we know what all the prices are for every single thing part of their calculations. So like we knew it was going to be bad, but the market's still completely dumped. Hey, thank you. The market's still completely dumped, which is crazy because it's just like, hey, is it, you know, everyone wants to say the meme, it's all priced in. Apparently it's not, and people are just emotional as can be, and I guess they were hoping for 7% calculated inflation. I really don't know. But it hit 8.6, which in reality it's probably closer to 15. Shout out to Michael Saylor because his playbook is kind of taken off. If we sustain these type of inflation rates for a few years, the dollar's dead. And that's kind of what he's calling for. In his playbook, Bitcoin rises above everything and all fiat kind of dies. Which is one thing to be bullish on Bitcoin, but the truth is if we kill the dollar, it's going to be a rough time. So the transition, I mean, maybe Saylor's right, maybe it happens, but it's going to suck hardcore if the entire world's reserve currency basically goes to pennies. Could happen, don't know if it will, but right now she's bleeding bad, and the Fed has to step in. And let me pull up Spaceman's indicator. Shout out to Spaceman, he's cool as can be, great coder. He does custom indicators like I do, just different type of style, but his stuff's really good. But if you type in FOMC, you can put all vertical lines on all the FOMC meetings. So June 14th, we have the next FOMC meeting where they're going to talk about Fed rate hikes. And that's really what's going to switch things up. So we'll see. It's initial plan was 50 basis points, but they're now talking about potentially a 75 basis point jump. So if we get a 75% basis point jump on this, when the expected is 50, it's going to fall. And if we fall and break new lows, which is below the 3,800, we're in trouble. Not really in trouble. I mean, like, we knew this was going to happen. At least we've been talking about it. That's kind of the box we're looking into. And then around September are midterm elections, which is also coinciding with the fall harvest. So the biggest wheat producers in the world, aka Russia and Ukraine, are going to see what their wheat harvest is. And if the wheat harvest is awful, which it probably is considering the wars that are going on, we might kick off our first stage of food shortage, like serious food shortages worldwide, which is going to be really, really awful for the entire markets, as you can see. But like, there's a lot of countries that do not produce wheat, do not produce their own food. They're 100% import only. So if the fall harvests come in short, remember, we don't have fertilizer, we've got wars going on, a lot of big issues here. We may just go through this and keep going down, and then 2023 is going to be awful. Not that I want that, but you guys need to be prepared for that in case it does happen. But regardless, we're getting close to a bottom here. If we aren't already bottomed, this thing may very well might just go, and we go up only somehow, and Yellen and Jerome pull it off. Don't know yet. But regardless, that's kind of the window we're looking at. September-ish, I think we'll know. So another 3 months, 4 months, we should really know. And if Q4 takes off, if we don't get a bullish base case in Q4, we've got a long road ahead of us. But that spooked everything, that inflation report. And right now, Bitcoin is acting accordingly. I just got an alert. I don't know what for. It's 12 o'clock. It's probably a bot. But we're back in a range. And we're bouncing, and we've taken a range low, range high, a second attempt at a range high, and now we're starting to come down for the second range low, and we're at the bottom of the first standard deviation. This could be support. It has been in the past, so we're talking bell curve numbers here. This is held in the past, albeit these are little wicks coming down, and this is kind of trending down. And we've got bear prints coming down with it too. So we might be going down for a second leg. If we do, I want to see a reversal here on the second standard deviation area. So, and if we go here, we're done. This range is kaput if we just blow through it. So keep that in mind too, because we may blow through like we did on this previous range that we traded. As soon as we broke free, we had to wait for the next range to form up. Now we're forming the second one. Maybe there's a third one down here in the low 20s. Don't really know yet. Just got to see. But the play here is to wait for that, and you will get crazy alt entries there if it happens. We may bounce here, and right now the alts are completely dying today, this weekend. So if you haven't been paying too much attention, the weekends have been dead volume wise for anything bullish. It's only been happening during the North America trading session hours, so Monday through Friday. So we shall see. Asia markets are not doing well right now, but it's kind of like as expected. We took two swings at a range high, right? Lower high, didn't make it, came back down, and we've been barding like crazy, which is just chop city, and it's been liquidating the bears and liquidating the bulls. So you got to be careful. Frankly, it's been super hard trading, but the shorts frankly have been easy. Anything that's been rallying, and I'll go into that in a little bit. But let me catch up on the chat. No, I'm not using a new mic, Bald. Does it sound weird? I hope not. No, I don't know what Gala coin is. Fed doubles they're selling in September too. Yeah, that's true. June and July and August are like 47. Don't quote me. I need Doppel if he's in. He always knows. 47 and like and a half billion per month, and then September they're gonna be like 90 billion. But to Jack's point, let me go back to this because I think I maybe have spent too little time on his. This window here, eventually the Fed is going to quit increasing rate hikes. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Now that could be a year, could be 2 years, could be tomorrow. We don't know. They're all over the place, and they're not going to tell you until they do it. They might give some hints, but eventually they're going to quit increasing rates, and then eventually they'll start decreasing rates. We were at 0 for a long time. Now they're starting to increase it to try to bring us in inflation under control, albeit they're coming in too late. They're also offloading their $9 trillion balance sheet, and they're doing it at like, just call it 50 billion a month. They're going to be moving that up to like 100 billion with a B. So you now have, instead of an artificial buyer, we have an artificial seller. So the government's basically going to be a bear. So regardless of what you think the S&P looks like support, as long as the Fed is crushing us with rates and crushing us with offloading and predictive selling, it's not good. Now the thing is you've seen how emotional these markets are with the littlest news. The instant the Fed says they're going to quit selling or they're going to like back off rates, like the market's going to be like super reactive to it. So be mindful of that. But regardless, we're trading the Chopin this weekend, and so far I've been doing well. I've had to sit back and not do a lot of trades, but like I said, when we're in the middle here, I consider this the middle. Don't mess with it much. You can see the standard bell curve I have here. These aren't fib numbers, these are actually standard deviations with like a bell curve. If you're not familiar with that math, screenshot or clip this. Those are the numbers I use to create a bell curve out of the Fibonacci tool. Fib numbers are cool, but to me standard deviations make more sense, and the bell curves show up in nature a lot more than the fibs do. So good numbers to base off of, and they tend to work. And I just do the bottom range and the top range with these prints and use that. So like the standard of the range right here is 0.5. Now we're coming up to the first standard deviation. There's the second, third stuff. So I think that might be half deviation, and that's the first, that's the second. Anyway, regardless, bell curve. And right now we're just sitting in the middle. This range. And you can see our volume is loaded up here as well. So it wants to stay here. Now it's starting to dive down. So now the question is stuff's bleeding. We've been shorting stuff on the way down. Now it's a matter of like, when will it pump? And pretty much our options are not much. It's either it bounces here, bounces somewhere in here, or we're ranged in low and going into ultimate pain, which is like low 20s. So with that being said, a lot of the whales are moving over to cash and Bitcoin instead of alts and trying to run out of alts. So that's kind of the news there. Let me pull up something real quick. I don't know where it is, so I gotta find it for a second. Yeah, that works. So it's another indicator I'm working on right now, and it's what shows when the whales are basically actually running from stable coins and they're running into actual fiat. But it was cool here to see it on capitulation, but I just wanted to double check it and see if they're trying to run away from it now, and it doesn't look like they are. So, but that'll be released later. Stables volume. Something Byzantine Journal looks at a lot is that one. So I wanted to make one in relationship to split trends, but anyway. But yeah, that's Bitcoin. I'm just kind of waiting to see if it bounces here. If it doesn't, with that being said, if this does bounce here, we've got so many alts that are completely bled dry right now that are set up for prime bounces. And I don't like trading Litecoin a lot, but I wanted to point this one out. It is super set up here. So we shall see. We have 1 touch, 2 touch. Now we're coming into 3. So I'm just kind of waiting to see if stuff starts turning around, because we've got a big potential here for like a mean reversion. Right? Maybe it gets through here, maybe don't know, but it's looking pretty good. This is super busy on 1 hour. Let me pull it back to 2. So like 2 hours is a sweet setup if we bounce. So right now we are taking stabs into this VWAP rainbow. Now it may go lower, but 50 would be a good place to stop Bitcoin or Litecoin. It's just a pretty number. So maybe you can get a scalp up to here, and that would be sweet for Litecoin, because that would be 15% scalp on spot. So I'm watching it, but what's kind of scary here is you can see this is stronger colors. These are yellows, these are oranges. So, but then we got a sell signal there too. But like I said, shorts have been what's been paying this week. So I don't like shorting, but I'm teaching myself how to do it because you guys tend to ask about it a lot. And I've been playing with the FEMX stuff too. So Ethereum actually looks awful right now. But lo and behold, it's testing the VWAP rainbow again. So this could be another great potential here to mean revert back up into this range and maybe kiss it and bounce off. Don't know yet. Like I said, I'm waiting. I think we're getting close to some potential entries here, but I just don't see it yet. Or if I see it, but I don't want to sit here and go leveraged exposed and get destroyed, because I could easily get a wick down to here, which is going to be awful. But as Litecoin was $50, Ethereum's bouncing off 1500, so that's kind of a pretty number. And for some reason, whales tend to mess with pretty numbers, especially if you're Roger Ver with Bcash. Bcash loves round numbers like 25s, 50s, and zeros. So, gotta be careful. Anywho, so I'm watching this one, but like I said with the Bitcoin range, if the range breaks, we want to bail on it. This range broke on Ethereum, right? You can clearly see we broke out of this. We had some tests, we had a support. This is a range low. This was a potential range high where we had preliminary support here, and we have some pivots here too. So you could argue it's this as well. Maybe that's like your range area, and there's some volume stacked up here, but like we are going lower. And if we can zoom out, and we broke those pivots. There's a pivot. Ah, that's cool. So there's a pivot here, and there's a pivot here, and this is based off old price action. So back up here on the way back up to that first like all-time high, or the recent all-time high. Sorry, these are notes that I was doing earlier. So there's old pivots that can only print so far along. You want to draw the lines all the way across, and you can see we're having some interactions with some older pivots here, and price is starting to bounce. So like I'm probably going to start playing with this, and I may eat some stop losses down here. So let's just say hypothetically if I took that trade, that's a 4% drop. So that's like a 4-hour trade. That's not bad. So I hope that makes sense. We've got some type of support here. It's likely pivots from the previous ranges from like a year ago. As crazy as that sounds, but pivots from like 2 years ago are still relevant, which is just mind-boggling. But looking for an F bounce. If F doesn't bounce here, whew, gonna be ugly. But like I said, Litecoin looks like this. You've got yellows tapping this. Like it looks bouncy. Not saying we're swinging yet, but it looks like we could bounce that. My boy Zcash, let's take a look. Zcash looking a little better. Printing yellows, but we haven't touched the rainbow yet. So nothing crazy, but you can see there's some buy volume here. Let me go check Bcash. So check that out. That's a sweet one. I hope it's on a pretty number so I can prove my point. No, 155. Bcash number would be like the 150. But regardless, it's kind of cool to see that we wicked this pivot, and now we're moving, starting to move back up. So like this, it's if this holds, your magnet is here. That's where it wants to come back and sit back in this range. So the idea is it would come back up and then bounce. Or it just does stupid things again and goes way hard. But you don't know yet. But I'm just looking for scalps off these bloody pullbacks, because these are pretty bloody right now. These are pretty gnarly. And you can see bear print, plus a sell signal. Not a good place to long until you hit like blow out some other side. So like, let me, it was Link. I want to show an example of how like I read these. So we have Link here. This is old notes from streams like a week or two ago, but regardless, let's just remove all this. As you know, like with the Rainbow Trends colors, like you can see on the bottom right here, pink and white are the furthest away. So your strongest bear colors are white, your strongest bull colors are pink. And what we saw here was a full drive down way into the rainbow with whites, and then we saw a full drive up on pinks. Now typically bears can push further down into the rainbow because people get completely scared and just market sell. People aren't as baitable to market buy When stuff's this high, they tend to like, they don't FOMO as hard as they capitulate. So capitulation is stronger than FOMO. But I got a really good short here, and I wanted to show like this is a full color rotation. Like this is the whales blowing it out bearishly, and then them correcting it bullishly, and then it's mean reverting back into this range here. You can see with the visible range. So like I said, the magnet is this middle. This is where it doesn't take whale energy. Anything above it, that takes a lot of fuel from the bulls, and then this takes fuel from the bears. And they only have so much fuel, so they can only print colors for so long. So when I saw when people were all talking like super bullish on Link, this was going up like crazy because Link has upgraded. I don't know the specifics, but allegedly, according to the Twitter feeds, Link is integrating staking, which is a big deal. So people are going to be able to stake Link and get APR back, I assume. Correct me if I'm wrong. But regardless, what we saw was crazy bullishness going into the VWAP rainbow. And once you're printing pinks into this rainbow, it's not sustainable. Now, the question is how long will it be sustainable? Because you've got to remember, and I'll pull up the chart and remember it, Zcash did this for like a week and then nuked. And if you'd have shorted it here, you would have been liquidated like 10 times. So I sat here and I watched it a long time, and I ate a few stop losses, but I finally took it, and we got the color rotation. So you can see they barely blipped pink. They came down. They went in for a second drive. Stronger drive, higher prices, higher colors, and then they bled out to green. So we saw cyans come up and then greens, which means the whales are done. And I can go into a shorter time frame to better show this. You can see this is the bulls coming in. And this is like drive 1, drive 2, drive 3, and then capitulation. Right? So 1, 2, 3, and then capitulation, right? So that's drive 1, and then look. Bear prints showed up. Those are bull prints shooting it up. Let me zoom in. So you've got bull prints committing to shove this thing up. They shove it up, they're offloading while people are FOMOing. It comes up here, prints a sell signal. They come in, bull print it again to get another shove up. Bear or sell signal hits again, and then they just started bleeding out to green, and it nuked. Not nuked, but it pulled back, and it was way too high. So like when you see stuff like this, imagine like you're sitting on the top of a ledge, like with a bunch of air gap below you before the water here is down here to catch you, right? So that's how I read these. And when I see something just printing into these VWAP rainbows, and it's not like a micro cap, Link's like a top 20 or 30, whatever it is nowadays, I don't know. But it's a top 50 coin with a history. You can see it roll over, and you can see that's your whales exiting and capitulating. So on the bottom, as it's going up, they're taking bam, bam, bam. They're taking spikes out of it. So they're taking everybody's FOMO as liquidity, and then eventually it gives up the ghost, and then it all comes back down. And if you were shorting this, you know, had you taken the sell signal on the 2 hour, that'd be right there. That's 20% short on 1x, no leverage, right? So good trade. So like market's been choppy, people are crying like crazy, but like this is a legit trade. While the whole market was like dying off, we had something printing way up into the top, and it was very, very likely to fall down. So I shorted it, right? So I hope that makes sense. But that's the idea of like how you read these colors and how you get your ideas. Now this stuff, the bottom side of the rainbows tends to be faster. This is more knife catchy. This stuff, you've got to be patient for it to roll over and bleed out. So I'm learning that because traditionally I never shorted, but people always want to know about how to short rainbow stuff. So I'm teaching myself how to do it with this Femix account. It's been a lot of fun. I think I started it 2-3 weeks ago, and I think the overall count's up like 40%, and that's with me like messing up trades as well. So there's a lot of stuff I've been posting up like in the Discord. There's stuff I think is for sure like very confident in, and then there's other stuff I'm playing with that I'm not super confident in, but I don't want to bait you guys into anything. So I am taking losses, but I'm also getting wins overall, so it's fun to see that account grow. And so far, people are asking about the Femex. So far, I like their exchange. I haven't been screwed with anything yet. Like I've seen with other exchanges, everything seems to work. No shenanigans, no crazy wicks, and liquidity seems to be good. So far, 2 thumbs up from me. But that's a good trade. While the markets are tanking, we had something way up. Hey, thank you for the follow. While the markets are up, something went way out of range. They printed way too hot of colors, and it was just a matter of time before it free fell. And let me go back to Zcash, because this is how you don't want to short too early. Let me go to another one, because I don't want to delete those notes. So check this one out. So this one did the same thing, but instead of bleeding to green and falling all the way back down, it went way up and it kept running. So you've got to be super careful here that you don't get liquidated trying to short this stuff too early. Now, a lot of the market was more bullish at this time, and Barry Silbert was going hard on Zcash, and when Silbert's hard on Zcash, it tends to run like crazy. But the key is that you want to see is eventually this thing lays over, and then it mean reverts all the way back down. So think of like yin yang, right? I definitely know I can't draw this, right? There's got to be balance in the market to keep liquidity correct, right? So that's how I kind of see it. When the bulls overextend, the bears have to come in. And the same thing happens when the bears overextend, the bulls tend to come in. Like you can see they went way too hard here and it came back up. Now there's different dynamics here since this is an altcoin, and when Bitcoin's running around, these are getting slingshot and abused left and right. But is what it is. Bitcoin moves 5%, Zcash is going to move 15, 20, right? So just keep that in mind. That was a yin yang, not a smiley face. I try. So anyway, that's my take on crypto, and everything is doing the same patterns right now except for some outliers, but like this is crazy. Let me switch to Femex. So if you guys don't know, I make lists with the exchanges. Someone was asking me about this, and I pretty much add every single thing that an account has, and I don't manually type in everything. So I just sit there and I'll make a list and I'll hit plus, and I'll switch it to the exchange I'm looking at, and then just type in like USD, and then I'll go down along here and I'll add every plus sign. So this is like all the perpetual stuff. So I just type in perp and I go down the list and I look for anything that doesn't have an X. So look, they've added FTT, so I'm going to add that, add Luna. No, actually I want Luna off, but anyway, I added FTT now. So instead of me sitting here looking up the list and typing in a million things, just do this. Put in the exchange that you want to look at. Type in the currency you want to look at, USDT, and then just go add every single one. Click, 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 click. So you can have quick lists. And then this short change percentage is a lifesaver. At the end of the day, the beginning of the day, you can see what's completely bleeding out, especially during capitulations. I'll just sit here and look at this and look for, like when the market's doing this stuff over here, I'll just look for the worst ones that are getting destroyed. Like right now, Sushi is the worst one on them. You can see it's printing whites, right? GMT, I don't know what this is, but like GMT's printing whites going into here. Waves, that's a good one to show you the example. Full bear, full bull, revert back, yin yang. Comp looks like Ethereum. Bam, 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 lower low. Link printing shorts today. Sand, Aave. Anyway, I put a limit stop. Why do you have lit there at the top of the list? I had it marked for something. Yeah, I was shorting lit earlier this week. That's why. It blew the. I was looking at these percentages one day, and this was like plus 40% for the day, so I started shorting it on the way down. And that's one thing, it's a good point, is you got to be careful with this VWAP rainbow. When you're dealing with low caps, they can go whoop and then come back down and get back into this range. And that's what this one did. The larger accounts, or the larger like top 50, typically won't blow out this thing, but regardless, that blew out. And the sell signals for stuff like these low caps, you want to go to like smaller time frames. It's like you would have got a sell signal here and been able to ride it down. I mean, if you want to get really, really careful, like 30 minutes is really good for like short time frame stuff. So like you could do a lot of damage with 30 minutes on high volatility stuff using the sell bot. I mean, this is so violent though. Let me try 15. I normally don't go below 30 with it, but like you're talking about like 10% moves in like half an hour. Yeah, so it would have triggered here. But anyway, you want to get the TP bot more aggressive, go to smaller time frames. So while I look at everything at like 4 hours, like if I'm in a leverage position and I don't want to be exposed, I'll look at like 30 minutes. Like when I'm knife catching down here. So I'll put the bot on 30 minutes and I'll set an alert to it. So I can do you can do add alert, and well, I can't read it now, but I would do this where it's only the TP bot. Give me 1 second because I can find it. If you only put the TP bot on the screen, you can, yeah, that's the TP bot, that one. So it's whatever, you can leave it like that. So you do the TP bot. So say I was down here and I longed and I want to make sure that like I do a conservative scalp and I don't FOMO it. I'll put this chart on like 30 minutes and I'll tell the TP bot, I'll set an alert and I would be like sell lit. And that way I get an email and my computer goes beep in the living room really, really loud. And I can do create it. So I'll get an alert every single time the TP bot on lit is printing on 30 minutes. So 30 minutes is really, really good scalping signal. Same thing like here. You can see you buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. It's really aggressive on 30 minutes. You can easily trigger it. So at the same time, like if you're scalping and you're looking at 4 hours, right? Like I wouldn't want to scalp buy here, have it go all the way to here before it scalps. That's a little slow. Now, if you're swing trading, it's fine, but like when you're playing with fire, go down to like 30 minutes and it helps a lot. So, hey, good morning, Grogu. This is visible range. So if you type in Alpac, if you do visible range, you can do visible range volume profile, and it normally comes up with different colors. I think it's blue and yellow, and it'll look like garbage. Because I think the default is 20. It'll look like that. So switch this to 300 or 200 and it'll look like that, and that's how I use it. It's basically, this is volume over time, this is volume over price. So this is telling me the most amount of bids were here. That's where most people bought. And then you can see like there's a cluster here where people bought, and it basically gives you support and resistance levels. It's a really valuable tool, and it's kind of the basis of footprint trading. I'm not a footprint trader, but that's one thing I took from them is they always look at the volume versus price. So very valuable tool. Because this is kind of telling you like that's going to be a hard thing to get through. There's a bunch of people stacked up here that want to get out, and they'll be selling when price gets back up. So you can see they shot through and they came back down. But the big humps here also act like magnets. So that's a big magnet where price wants to stay. Does that make sense? Let's see what's actually doing good. FTT, BTC, ADA. Cool. If you have any other questions, just DM me too. This is another one I've been watching since 9K and Donnie have been talking about it. And if you haven't noticed, like TRX has not been acting normal. When the market's been completely dead, this thing's been getting some serious volume and been pumping and then continuing to pump. Like the whole market's down right now. Like 12%, and then this thing's only 3%. It's bouncing off of a pivot here. So absolutely crazy to see that candle body right on the pivot and just a wick down. Pivots are on point, and you can see like it gets rejected here and stuff. Rejected, sent through, rejection, sent through, print. You get really in tune with your pivots on your coin that you like, you can do a lot of damage, even when it's just chopping sideways. You have to stare at the chart a lot, but you can do it. Thank you for the follow. No, I didn't look at AVAX, but we can, because I have been watching AVAX. Because AVAX is super, super violent. Let me go to the Binance one. Yeah. Sorry, you can switch this to auto adjusting. I just don't like it as much. You can switch this to auto, and it'll change for every single indicator. That's something that can't think of his name now. I'm gonna pull him up on Discord. Ladarius does that. And Vital, yes. So back to AVAX, just looking at it. You can see that we have, and like, keep it simple, guys. This isn't rocket science. It's just the way Vital was telling me the other day. It was a quote from not Gandhi, Buddha. This isn't about seeing new things. This is just about seeing the same things differently, right? So you're not really sure what all this is, right? And we're just looking at it, the same stuff, but we're looking at it differently where it can help us out. We've got a range here. There's clearly a support block right around there. Even if the pivots aren't getting all of it, you can see there's one pivot printed, right? And you can see where the price action is. And then this is basically price coming down, wedging, and coiling. And instead of it breaking out like a bull pennant, it's breaking down, right? It's gonna do one of two things. Normally they don't go sideways through a wedge like that. It's coiling up and compressing, and then it releases. But right now, AVAX looks awful. So it's just been downtrending, right, for a long time. And I like AVAX, I like Avalanche, but with that being said, there is whites printing into this rainbow. So maybe it'll go, but as you've seen, like, AVAX can get really, really violent and go beyond the rainbow. So this is what I'm saying, like, know your whales. The whales on AVAX get skittish, and they dump. So, like, the last thing I want to do is have you think this is a support at 20 and have it go to 10, right? So it could, but like, I need some time to see what's going to happen. Like, you can see how, hold on one second, the wife's calling. Alright guys, I gotta go help the wifey for 1 minute. I'll be like a 5-minute break, but I'll be right back. But let me finish this up real quick. You can see how this went so violent and it wicked down. We're not going violent here. You can see candle, 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 and then it curved back up. Let's see if we get a candle, 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 and a curve back up. That way you don't jump in too early. But I will be right back. Take a 5-minute break. All right, I'm back. Oh, elevator music. Sorry, guys. Interesting stuff. So, it's kind of where we're at with stuff. I mean, that's where crypto is. See if we get a bottom. And basically, like what I'm personally looking at, once this thing bottoms out, or if it does, if, when, etc., I'll be looking to like long like the worst alts that bled out too hard is where I'm at. So we shall see. Now we are starting to see some buys come in. You can see on, and we're on. What is Tether? Whatever. But you can see we have kind of an uptrend here with the big buys coming in. So someone's buying it, and you can see the whale prints. Someone's buying it, but this is short time frame stuff on the 1 hour. So I want to see what it does. There's a pivot right there. So it'd be a good place to bounce. And then maybe, because basically it's, what I would be looking at is we get a pivot bounce here. We get back up to this mean reversion, dead center, the 0.5 on the standard deviation range. And while this is only going to be, let me go to long, not a short. While this is only going to be like 5%, your alts are going to move like 15-20%. So you do a leverage trade when this, so when this thing starts trucking up, go buy whatever died off like AVAX, and AVAX is likely to do way more than 10% is how I look at it. So it's just kind of like the visual is like, say this is Bitcoin, right? This is Zcash. And then like, this is Ape. Just some random, well, it's not a low cap anymore, but you get the point, right? They move more. So your play is not to hold here, but it is, the play is to buy down here and go up. So anyway, let's go look at some commodities now. First one is oil. We are pumping, no pun intended, pumping hard and forming a curve. And I know this chart is messy, but this is just what I've been using. And the 4 hour on take profit bot on oil is super on point. It nails every peak. So if you're trading this, set your alerts on this thing. It's super good. There are just some things like the TP bot is really good at, just the way the markets move, and for whatever reason oil is one of the best ones. Regardless though, you can see like with this cyan, we are moving up in a curve point, and we're going to come back up and we're going to test up that Putin rally. So this was the invasion of Ukraine. Everything went way up, and then it started forming kind of like these wedges here is what I was trying to view it, and then it broke out of the wedges, retested, and then it went and sent it. And frankly, we've got a lot of problems here. If and when we break 130, which is the previous all-time high pivot, if we don't bounce off of this and bleed out, like, we are in a world of hurt. And it looks like we probably hit it by June 21st, June 22nd, sometime around there if we just keep going up. And we're going to have some big issues here. Frankly, the price of diesel going up so high kills all the economic rallies. So as bullish as your setup looks for Bitcoin or Zcash or Bcash or whatever, Ethereum Classic, doesn't really matter. If this thing goes up, this is recession fuel. And if we get above 130 and this thing breaks above it, comes up, retest it, lights out. We may be going for 200, 150. I don't know how high it'll go, but we're in a serious world of hurt. If this goes up, this will crush, absolutely crush the S&P 500 if we get up to 200 bucks. It's bad now. We're at all-time highs. The national average hit $5 a gallon. Diesel is pumping way higher. And the frankly is, it's just the economy runs on diesel. Your trains, your 18-wheelers, all that type of stuff. So as long as this keeps going up, the S&P, in my opinion, is not bottomed. So you've got to be careful. Like, it's, you know, it's not good. You can call the S&P 500 bottom all you want. It's, in my opinion, it's unlikely to happen if this is not pulling back. And so far, we haven't pulled back. And to get back into the range, we would need to be below 100. And we are nowhere near 100. So if you guys want something easy to long, this is likely going to go up. And you got to realize price is going with the U.S. government dumping 1 million barrels of oil a day out of the strategic reserves to help fight these numbers. And we keep that in mind. That's the wartime reserve. Our oil reserves in the United States are for war times, not for high price times. And they're dumping it at $1 million a day right now to try to bring these prices down. And frankly, they can't do it forever. They're never going to take the oil reserves to zero. But they're going to try to do it till the end of the year. I think until midterms at least. But keep in mind, this price is going up with artificial supply being dumped on the market by the feds. So when they stop, we're rising up, coiling, going up and trying to hit all-time highs with an artificial dumper on the market. So eventually they have to stop doing that. And we'll see when the administration does that. But when they stop doing that, lights out. See you on the moon. But with that being said, eventually this has to stop. Sometime, but I have no idea when. Because right now the other part of this is the Americans are shipping oil over to Europe, who are trying to boycott Russia oil. So a lot of the oil that's in the United States is going to be pushing up over there, and it's going to kill supply. So the whole Russia thing is really what's doing this. Don't kid yourself. And it could get uglier, and it can get uglier, so be prepared for it. It's a long story that I can't cover in stream because it would take 9 hours to go through it all, but the Ukraine stuff's not over yet, and frankly it can get a lot worse, especially if the pipelines and the oil refineries and stuff freeze over in Russia. You gotta remember, a lot of their pipelines are in the tundra, so if the stuff ever stops, it'll freeze and you can't get it back online for like 10-20 years. It takes a ridiculous amount of time to work. So long story short, oil can be a very, very, very big issue into 2023. With that being said, if you were all in, leverage, doing whatever, you have your life savings on oil and ExxonMobil, you have to keep one thing in mind, because I don't want you to eat this if it happens. And it can happen at the stroke of a pen, and they're not going to forecast it. But the current administration, no matter who's in office in the United States, has the option to nuke this price. They can bring oil to its knees. And I want you guys to know that, because if you were super, super long on all this stuff, these prices can fall overnight like you would not believe. So, history lesson, back in the day, the United States used to not export oil. The Brits had their own price, the Europeans had their own price of oil, and they had their own non-nationalized oil trading economies. During the Obama administration, they opened it up, and the Americans started exporting their oil. So if we get into a point where we have runaway price on oil, this thing goes north towards 150, 200, Biden has the option with the stroke of a pen to stop all exports of oil out of the United States. At that time, price will nuke, because we no longer export and we will only be eating our own supply. So keep that in mind. You could be in a position where you are overexposed, overlong, and you wake up the next day and the price has dropped 30, 50%, right? So you have to keep that guarded thing. I'm not saying it'll happen. I'm not saying when it'll happen. I'm just saying is, if this goes runaway inflation, the feds have an option to get us out of it. And that's the option. No more oil out of the United States. It all stays inside the United States. Now, the rest of the world, oil prices will go to the absolute moon if the U.S. does that. But inside the U.S., United States, prices will free fall. So keep that in mind. So I'm not really sure how that will affect ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil is crushing it right now. They're going hard, and as it should be. This is one of the only people that can supply you with oil to try to bring these prices down. It is trucking. Sorry, no pun intended. So with that, got to keep in mind these companies are worldwide. So maybe the play is, if the United States did with the stroke of a pen decide not to export anymore, maybe focus on the oil companies outside of the United States. Now, albeit Exxon has projects outside of the Gulf of Mexico, but like maybe Shell would be something to look at more. Got to remember they're Dutch. Why does that not look right? Midstream. So Shell will be able to answer the call. Valero is another one. Valero's just going all-time high. Like, this is what Shib used to do, and he's back in the day, right? We're running hard. We've coiled up, we've accumulated, we're gone. We are gone. So, and let me back up. Like, I'm not, like, I'm pro oil, but not also pro oil. Like, I'm pro environment. I'm all about the green energy and us not having smog and us not polluting the environment. But frankly, we're not in the place to transition over yet. And as much as people want us to, everyone have $80,000 Teslas, our power grids can't support it, and people can't afford it right now. So the only people that are capable of answering the call of this $120 barrel per oil are these companies that have been ridiculed for years. So ExxonMobil is going to pump record profits. They're going to be answering the call to this. And frankly, the price of oil is going to stay high for a long time. So just to put this into perspective, if you're not familiar with the oil field industry, there is a ton of equipment, there's a ton of operations, there's a ton of stuff that happens to do this. Oil projects are like 5-year timelines normally. They plan something out and they get their first drop of oil over like 5 years later. Big money, big investments, a lot of stuff they have to build, manufacturing supply chains all around the world, getting giant pieces of steel and machining them and pressure testing them and stuff like that. So you got to keep in mind, Jeff Bezos could walk into ExxonMobil and said, you got to cut this out, we need more oil, and give them $10 billion. Doesn't matter, $100 billion. It doesn't matter. It's still going to be 3 years before Jeff Bezos gets a single drop of Amazon oil out of the ground. So you got to be really, really, really careful with it. Total energy, I'll take a look at that. So like, just keep that in mind. We are in an energy crunch for a long time. That's cool, Alpac. I like how it moves. Print cell signals. So keep that in mind. The only other thing I'm kind of looking at is uranium. Uranium is something that can answer the call as far as electrical power needs in Europe. Uranium, I consider it green. It's non-carbon based fuel, splitting the atoms, and frankly it's one of the best renewable or green energies in my opinion, because it can actually operate at night and can operate in extreme temperatures, and it's got a lot of power. A windmill and solar panels don't have a lot of power when you need it. Nuclear power plants have tons of power, so they can really rock and roll. But right now it's kind of gone sideways. We had some rallies with the Ukraine war where people are like, we're going green, Europe's going to build all these nuclear reactors, China's going to build all these nuclear reactors. But frankly, it's just been chilling in between these 3 levels. So I'm not so hot on it. Just being honest. Maybe it's a good time to accumulate. I don't really know, but this is slow moving compared to oil. Oil's going north. Uranium's going sideways. So I'm just kind of meh. I'm kind of weird on it. I could be wrong, but I think long term, I think this is a play that's 5 years out, not 2 months out. So, gotta look at milk futures now that I know that it's a thing. Thank you. Shout out to Tom Crown. Go to 3-day. If you haven't noticed, oil futures are going up, but so are milk futures. And because this is a thing. So milk is going hard, and I think this just goes in line with like the food stuff that we're about to start dealing with. I think at the end of this year, we're going to have a lot of issues with a lot of food. As you can see, wheat is going to go hard. And right around here, October-ish is harvest time, and we're going to see if we get our harvest for the year and how bad it's going to be in comparison to the rest of the world. Talked to a lot of farmers inadvertently in the United States that my dad worked with. He works with a lot of their diesel production or diesel maintenance as far as like their giant tractors, and they're talking about what their costs are right now with the supply chains. And right now, they are paying out the butt for fertilizer, and they are talking about we just aren't going to be able to get it. Like, we're paying 2 to 3 times more right now for fertilizer, but like next year we're not going to be able to get it. So if we have a supply chain issue with fertilizer, bounties or crop bounties are going to go down like at least 50%. So we're going to see like major food issues there, unfortunately. Look at corn. Yeah. So I think the writing's on the walls. I think it's coming. Unfortunately, I don't want it to come, but I'm just aware of it, right? Like I hate talking about bear situations, but I want to know where I'm going to get destroyed if something does hit me, right? Hey, thanks, Vital. So that's where we're at with this food stuff right now. Food and oil, bullish. Unfortunately, bullish. Like you want me to bet on something that's going to go up? I'm going to bet on oil and food. Cocoa futures. So because we looked at milk futures, I want to do that. So that's cocoa and then milk. So now we are looking at chocolate milk futures. Bam. And chocolate milk is not as volatile as normal milk. So it's the dumbest thing I can show you guys on a chart, but I love it that I can look at chocolate milk on TradingView. But all seriousness, that's where we're at. I got nothing else to really cover. That's where I'm at. I'm looking to scalp some longs if the Bitcoin stuff takes off, but I'm really wanting to see what the Fed does next week or 2 weeks from now when they drop their interest rates. That's going to be the next thing that really shakes these markets. So keep that in mind. Things could get ugly. I mean, things are ugly. Don't think that's not the case, but there are trades here that I'm trying to show you guys. I don't like scalping and shorting, but I'm forcing myself to do it with the FEMX stuff. It's been a fun learning experience and been doing a lot of damage with the rainbow tools. Even though this is just complete chop, pain in the ass, you can't just long this stuff and forget about it. You've got to be super tight, but I'm learning discipline with it, and I'm trying to post stuff up in the Discord for you guys to look at, like things that I think are for sure gonna play out, at least high probability. And then I'm messing with some other stuff that I don't think is high probability, and I'm eating some losses there, but I'm trying not to bait anybody into it because people will oftentimes long stuff that I talk about. So I've become very guarded about what I just publicly post, because I used to just post anything I thought was even remotely interesting. It's a weird place to be when you got to moderate what you're talking about, because some things I just think are curious and I want to talk about them, and then people like will go all in and like, no, it's not what not what I was saying. But regardless, if you're new here and you're curious why my charts are all over the place with colors and arrows and bots and everything else, go check us out at rainbow-trends.com. That's where our tools are. You can look at some of the other traders that use these tools. Love all these guys, known them for a long time. We have our free Discord, no paywalls in the Discord. So if you just want to come hang out and play with the free tools, by all means. But if you want the hotter, more premium tools that actually took me like years to develop, they're here as well if you want to check it out. But you can read up like on the theory of what all this stuff is, because this is kind of deep. It takes a long time to get through like how I look at stuff and how other rainbow traders look at stuff. But we've got examples, we've got tutorials, and we're working on a way better website with Blake right now. Good guy I met on Twitter who's I've converted into a Rainbow Trends guy. But we're coming up with a way better website to give you guys more data than this, because I'm a programmer, but I'm not a website guy. But definitely check us out and come hang out in the Discord. There's the Discord link right there, and it's on my Twitter account as well, so you can check all that stuff there. But I'll hang out and you guys can ask whatever questions you guys want. I've got nothing else planned, but I can take some questions, or if like you're new to the tools and have any questions of how to set up tools, let me know in the thing, in the chat, I guess. Actually, I'm not even watching the YouTube. Yeah, so 4 people. Anyway, We're I'm dual streaming on YouTube and Twitch. So I'm struggling. I've only got 3 monitors here. I may need like a 4th one, but everything seems to be going well there. But if you have any questions, just let me know, and if not, hit us up on the Discord. I'll answer all the questions because I fly through this stuff because it's just intuitive to me at this point. But we've got a lot of stuff with tuning and setting this stuff up. There's a lot of people that trade shorter time frames, and you can see like it's a little busy here and the colors aren't exactly right. People ask me like, what are my super secret stuff? I just do play with this one mainly, the first one. So I can see like these are just greens and reds, and I know there should be some more colors here, so I'll knock that down like 3 or 2, and then we're good there. And there's too many pivot lines, so I will knock pivot sensitivity down. So that way, nope, the other way. Just with my mouse wheel. So I can knock the pivots down and make it less clunky. There's too many bull prints, too many well prints. Let me adjust the sensitivity there. We're good. So like, no rocket science. You just eye it till you see it, because in your gut, like, you know what's crazy numbers, right? Like if these were all red and you know that this was complete capitulation, yeah, definitely adjust your colors, because you can make the colors look way wrong. And that's like what CryptoJack wants to look at. Crazy colors like that. And to each their own, right? Their preferences. But like, that's about where I would do it. But if on the flip side, if it looked like this, just red and green, I know that's not right. Look how far it's going into the VWAP rainbow. So, I can adjust it. And I've also unlocked the colors here. So you want to do custom colors for your candles. Say you want pinks. You can totally do pinks and purples now. Or if you're colorblind, I tried doing some colorblind stuff, but it's so hard because colorblind people have so many different types of colorblindness. But I've opened it up now so you guys can change it to whatever suits you. Like if you want to do grays for these, you can totally do that now. So I hope that works. Especially for you light mode users who are psychopaths and want white backgrounds and blind yourself. So like that's totally there. And also like, oh, I've got all my settings messed up. Just go down here and hit reset and everything goes back to normal. And you can save a default as well. So a lot of people in particular change up these two. These are your well print colors. A lot of people don't like those being green, so they'll switch them to white. But I can't leave it as a white default because the people that are on white backgrounds can't see it, so I leave it like that. And then oftentimes they will switch these to like orange, which are the bear prints here, to stick out a little better than red. So, anyway. I've been hedged with my 401k for about a year. That's how I prepared. And I'm not interested in entering yet. So, but with crypto, I just chase crypto all the time. I don't care if it's up, down, sideways. I'm always looking for something to try to exploit. And see if I can get a tell on something. Yeah, we look at Aave. It's no problem. And then when I bail, we can raid somebody. I think we looked at this earlier, but yeah, Aave's looking like for a knife catch here, but you gotta wait for Bitcoin to wake up. If Bitcoin reverses, this is a hell of an entry, and then you could get mean reverted back up. And let me go to time frame lower to see what pivots are. Yeah, so this is your 1 hour pivots, and check out your sell signals all the way up. So like this would be a super good one. So that'd be like TP1. If you broke through that, TP2. If you're super lucky, that would be like TP3. But things aren't looking bullish here. So like when stuff was bullish, I would look for multiple take profit exits. Right now, I'm just kind of like get my move, and I just kind of fully cut it and just don't care. I'll come back later. But we'll see. Everything's so crazy. I'm glad you're enjoying it too. Got a lot. I think we hit record stream numbers today, which is cool in the middle of a Saturday. And I don't have the most regular schedule. My wife just damn near broke her legs at a swim park 2 days before we were supposed to go on vacation. So it's been a fun week. but it's also like 100 degrees where I'm at too, so it's just hot as can be. But it is what it is. But that's Aave. I wouldn't short this. I'm looking for longs if that's what you're looking at, because man, this would be crazy if we hit that pivot and bounced off of it. But anyway, 1 second, the wife's calling. I may have to go. Alright, I'm gonna put the kid to bed in about 5-10 minutes, so let's go look for somebody to raid. Give me 1 second to switch the screens up. I'm getting really close to building a dedicated streaming computer. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting tired of all the switching stuff around. So I wanna go, well, we can always, let's look at crypto, because it's usually no one's worth it. There's usually very few low tier people that are actually on stream. Not low tier, but you know, someone with like 1 person watching. I like to raid. And thanks for hanging out and doing these raids, because I think it's fun. Yeah, there's nobody here. That's just crazy. He's Russian. Can't understand him. All right, let's go check out just chatting. Unless you guys have a video game in mind. So can I sort by... Upsets me I can't sort by lowest, but let's find somebody with nothing going on. $73, this is whatever. Maybe we need to do a marbles raid. But in news events wise, I think the FOMC is the only thing really coming up this month. Yellen's talking crazy as well. If you haven't seen her talking, she's confident. No recession's coming, but it's looking highly likely at this point. I think we're already in one, to be honest. Nothing crazy. Let's just go to marbles. Maybe I should preemptively get these set up for raids. I don't know. Now we're talking. Marbles has very few people. Consecutive streaming with, yeah, let's do it. I'll see you guys later. Check us out on the Discord, Twitter, Twitch, all that. I answer all the DMs. Thanks for coming and stopping by and hanging out. Beard is awesome. Right, yep. I'll see you guys later. Like I said, I'll be on the Discord if you guys have any other questions or think of anything fun. Anyway, talk to you later.
Runner 144 raided with 20.